Hello and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Whispering Shadows. Discovery. Holly Arnold, an acclaimed artist renowned for her hauntingly beautiful portraits, had always found solace in solitude. After a string of failed relationships and the cacophony of urban life, she decided to retreat to the Isle of Wight. This secluded, decaying mansion on the outskirts of town seemed the perfect place for her to create without distraction. Its grand yet eerie presence, overrun by ivy and shrouded in mist, spoke to her soul. On her first day in the mansion, Holly wandered through the labyrinthine corridors, each turn revealing forgotten rooms and cobweb furniture. As she climbed the creaking stairs to the attic, she was struck by a chill that seemed to emanate from behind a locked door. After a brief struggle with the rusty lock, she managed to pry it open, revealing a dusty, cluttered space filled with relics of the past. In the far corner, half hidden under a tattered sheet, she found an antique mirror. The ornate, gilded frame was tarnished with age, but the glass itself was flawless, reflecting her image with unsettling clarity. As she gazed into the mirror, Holly felt an inexplicable pull, a connection that she couldn't explain. The mirror seemed to whisper to her, its presence almost alive. She dragged the mirror downstairs to her studio, setting it against the wall where it could catch the light of the setting sun. That night, as she worked on a new painting, she felt a strange sensation, as if she were being watched. She glanced at the mirror and for a fleeting moment saw a shadowy figure standing behind her. She spun around, heart pounding, but the room was empty. Obsession. Days turned into weeks, and Holly's fascination with the mirror grew. She spent hours staring into it, convinced that there was something more than her own reflection staring back. The glimpses of the parallel world grew more frequent and vivid. Twisted trees, skies veiled in perpetual twilight, and grotesque figures lurking in the shadows. It was a nightmarish version of reality, and yet Holly couldn't look away. The strange occurrences in the mansion intensified. Shadows moved independently of their sources, whispers echoed through empty rooms, and cold drafts brushed against her skin even when the windows were closed. Holly's paintings became darker, more disturbing, capturing the essence of the world she saw in the mirror. Her friends and colleagues noticed the change in her work and her demeanor, but their concerns fell on deaf ears. One evening, as Holly was painting, the whispers grew louder. They seemed to be calling her name, beckoning her to the mirror. She approached it slowly, her hand trembling as she reached out to touch the glass. The surface rippled like water, and before she knew it, her fingers slipped through, followed by her hand, her arm. With a sudden, forceful tug, she was pulled into the mirror. The parallel world. Holly found herself in a twisted, nightmarish version of her mansion. The walls were covered in black mold, and the air was thick with the stench of decay. The once familiar rooms were now distorted, with impossible angles and shifting dimensions. She wandered through the grotesque landscape, the whispers now a cacophony of voices, urging her to keep moving. As she navigated the labyrinthine halls, she encountered other beings warped, shadowy figures with hollow eyes and twisted limbs. They watched her with malevolent curiosity, but none approached. Holly's mind raced with questions and fears, but a strange sense of purpose drove her forward. She reached a grand hall where a massive, cracked mirror stood. This mirror, unlike the one she had found, was a portal. Through it, she could see glimpses of her own world, her studio, and her paintings. She realized that the mirror in her studio was the key to her return. But as she moved closer, the shadowy figures began to close in, their whispers turning into menacing growls. The malevolent force. As Holly reached for the mirror, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall, gaunt man with eyes like black voids. He radiated a palpable aura of malevolence. "You've come too far," he hissed. "This world and yours are bound by the mirror, but one must fall for the other to survive." The malevolent force wanted to cross into her reality, to spread its darkness and consume her world. She had to act quickly. Drawing on her inner strength, Holly fought through the encroaching shadows, her mind focused on the mirror. She reached it just as the gaunt man lunged at her. With a final burst of determination, she touched the glass, willing herself to return home. The mirror shattered around her, and she was engulfed in blinding light. Rutan. Holly awoke in her studio, the broken fragments of the antique mirror scattered around her. The room was filled with an eerie silence, the whispers and shadows gone. She felt an overwhelming sense of relief, but also a lingering fear. She knew that the barrier between the worlds had been weakened, and that the malevolent force was still out there, waiting for another chance to break through. Determined to prevent anyone else from suffering her fate, Holly gathered the fragments of the mirror and buried them deep in the wood surrounding the mansion. She boarded up the attic and sealed away the horrors she had unleashed. Her paintings, though still dark and haunting, took on a new depth, capturing the struggle between light and shadow, hope and despair. Holly knew that the malevolent force would always be a part of her, a reminder of the thin veil between reality and nightmare. But she also knew that as long as she remained vigilant, she could keep the darkness at bay. The newcomer. Decades passed, and the mansion remained an ominous fixture on the Isle of Wight, avoided by locals and shrouded in rumors. However, the passage of time brought with it new faces and fresh curiosity. The mansion was eventually purchased by an eccentric historian named Sean Langley, whose fascination with the paranormal drove him to seek out places of reputed hauntings. Sean was well aware of the mansion's dark history and Holly Arnold's tragic tale. He saw it not as a deterrent but as an invitation. Determined to uncover the truth behind the legends, he moved into the mansion with a small team of researchers and state-of-the-art equipment designed to detect and document supernatural phenomena. Upon arrival, Sean was struck by the mansion's eerie beauty. Despite its decay, the building held a sudden grandeur, its walls whispering stories of the past. His team set up their base in the grand hall, their equipment capturing every creak, groan, and whisper that the old structure produced. Reawakening. As Sean delved into the mansion's history, he uncovered Holly's buried mirror fragment and her final journal entries. Her words spoke of the parallel world, the malevolent force, and her desperate attempt to seal it away. Sean, skeptical but intrigued, decided to test the boundaries between the worlds. One night, Sean conducted a seance hoping to contact Holly's spirit. His team watched in anticipation as the room grew colder and the air thickened with an oppressive energy. The candles flickered and the shadows danced as if alive. Sean's voice wavered as he called out to Holly, asking for a sign. To his astonishment, the room responded. The mirror fragments, carefully reassembled on the table, began to vibrate. A low, guttural whisper filled the air, growing louder until it was a deafening roar. The fragments levitated, forming a complete mirror that shimmered with an otherworldly light. Sean's team watched in horror as the mirror's surface rippled, revealing the twisted, nightmarish world Holly had described. The gaunt man appeared, his eyes locking onto Sean's with a malevolent hunger. The barrier had been breached once more. The struggle. Sean's team scrambled to start the seance, but it was too late. The gaunt man reached through the mirror, his skeletal hand grasping for Sean. In a desperate bid for survival, Sean shattered the mirror with an iron candlestick, but not before the gaunt man managed to pull himself partially through. The room exploded with dark energy, sending Sean and his team sprawling. The gaunt man, now only a shadow of his former self, crawled across the floor, his hollow eyes burning with rage. Sean, filled with a newfound determination, grabbed a piece of the shattered mirror and held it up as a shield. The gaunt man recoiled, hissing in pain as the mirror fragment emitted a blinding light. Sean realized that the mirror, though a portal, also held the power to repel the malevolent force. Summoning all his courage, he thrust the fragment towards the gaunt man, who shrieked and dissolved into the air, leaving behind a lingering darkness. Sealing the rift. The ordeal left Sean and his team shaken, but not broken. Determined to finish what Holly had started, they gathered the mirror fragments and performed a ritual of sealing, using ancient text Sean had discovered in the mansion's library. The air was thick with tension as they chanted, the fragments glowing with an ethereal light. As the final words of the ritual echoed through the hall, the mirror fragments fused into a single, unbroken piece. The surface shimmered one last time before solidifying into a dull, inert object. The oppressive energy lifted, replaced by a calm, almost serene silence. Sean and his team buried the mirror deep within the mansion's grounds, beneath a circle of protective runes. They left the mansion, vowing to never speak of what had transpired, knowing that the darkness was finally contained. Epilogue. The mansion on the outskirts of the Isle of Wight stood abandoned, once more, a silent sentinel to the horrors it had witnessed. Nature began to reclaim the structure, ivy creeping up its walls and animals nesting in its empty rooms. The locals, sensing the change, spoke less of the haunted mansion and its tragic past. But deep within the earth, beneath the protective ruins, the mirror lay dormant. The whispers were silent, the shadows still. For now, the barrier between the worlds held firm. Yet those who ventured too close could still feel a chill in the air, a lingering reminder of the malevolent force that once sought to cross into our world. And so, the mansion remained a place of mystery, its true nature known only to a select few. It stood as a testament to the thin veil between reality and nightmare, a reminder that some secrets are best left buried and some shadows are never truly banished. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have had or have a great day.